Do you ever see a successful woman on your feed or in a magazine and think, wow, it must be nice to have it so easy? Well, think again. Behind that glossy cover or smiling face is a ton of hard work, countless failures, and endless learning experiences. I'm Rebecca Minkoff, and I'm here to tell you that success isn't a walk in the park. It takes grit, resilience, and a willingness to take risks. That's why I created Superwoman, a podcast that peels back the varnish and gets into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to make it as a woman in today's world. From luminaries and game changers to women you've never heard of but should, this podcast is here to inspire you to take your next leap, no matter how daunting it may seem. We'll explore the sacrifices these women have made, the highs and lows they've experienced, and the lessons they've learned along the way. So if you're ready to be inspired and learn from some of the most successful women out there, join me on Superwomen. Together, we'll uncover the stories behind the successes and prove that with hard work, determination, and a little bit of luck, anything is possible. Hey everyone, you're listening to Superwomen. Today's guest is the founder of Carmindy Beauty, Carmindy. Starting at the age of 15, when she fell in love with the idea of natural beauty, she became a makeup artist and worked her way up in the industry, working with such incredible people like Arthur Elgort and amazing supermodels like Cindy Crawford. Now she has her own beauty brand, Carmindy Beauty. It is all about the 5-minute natural, bringing out the best of you, not some contour stuff that's going to take you 100 hours to achieve. In this episode, she highlights what she had to do to get a break, how she's been able to stay innovative, and what she's doing to ensure her future as the expert continues. Take a listen. Carmindy, welcome to the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here and see you again.
I know. You had the greatest memory. You're like, we were at a dinner party pre-COVID with our mutual friend, Tamara.
Yeah. It was a memorable night. We had such a good time.
Oh my gosh. That was one for the book. She throws great parties,
She
though.
does. Yeah, indeed.
You know, we will dive into Carmindy Beauty, and I want you to sort of share the origin story. But growing up, what were you interested in, and what did you think you wanted to do?
Well, growing up, I grew up in Southern California, and my mom was a watercolorist, but she had at one point been a local model, not a big model, but she had done like local, they called them tea room models back then, right? Where they would go to like Bullock's and do tea room modeling.
Oh my God, Bullock's.
Right? Remember that?
Yes, because I'm from San Diego.
Oh, so you know. Yeah, I'm from Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
And so there were these photographs of her as a model, and I was this overweight, chubby kid that was being teased and bullied in school. And so my mom, to kind of boost my self-esteem, would take me to art class with her, and I'd learn how to paint. And then I would see these pictures of her modeling, and I'd be like, wait a second, I want to combine the two. And I started doing makeup as like 13, 14, 15 years old. I started playing with makeup.
Wow.
So that is what I began doing. And I was like, wait a minute. This could be a job, because I would look in magazines, and in the page of the magazines, you could see makeup by. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then I had a high school friend whose dad was a makeup artist in Hollywood. And I said, can I interview him? And so at 15 years old, I had a plan. I was going to be a professional makeup artist. I knew it back then.
Oh my gosh. So back then, now makeup artists are their own celebrities.
Yes.
So tell me what it was like from whenever you started working and maybe name drop, some of the fabulous talent, but what was the difference then in the industry versus now?
Oh my God. So first of all, there was no roadmap whatsoever and no help. Because we didn't have the internet, because there was no way a little girl from Huntington Beach, California would ever know how to get into the fashion industry. I just kind of scrapped it out. So my first thing was I got a job working at the mall at Merle Norman Cosmetics. So that was like after school, and on weekends I would work there just to try to get experience. And this is when, do you remember glamour shots?
Yes, I have some really terrible glamour shots.
I love that. Oh my God, we should share ours. So I started working at glamour shots, doing makeup because I loved it. And when I was probably about 18, I remember driving to Hollywood with these pictures I had and going into an agency, and that was for hair and makeup at the time. And I said, I will apprentice anyone for free. And so it was trial by fire. I would go on sets and I would get coffee. I would pick up dry cleaning. I would, organize makeup kits and be on these shoots and just literally work for nothing just to understand set life and how it all worked. And that's kind of how I got into the industry then. But it was one of those things where I just waited for that opportunity where the one makeup artist got sick, couldn't do the job. I filled in. It was a group that was from Miami back in the 90s, which was the hot spot for fashion.
Yep.
And they loved my work and said, hey, this is where it's going on. Why don't you fly to Miami and we'll give you a few more jobs? And I did that, and that's where it all began.
Oh my gosh.
So it was really just trial by fire and being at the right place at the right time and always saying yes to jobs and taking opportunities when they arise.
Yeah, but let's underline the fact that you worked for free for a long time to get experience and to see how it all worked. And I worked for almost free for a long time.
Yes.
But it's so valuable because
it is.
You really got to learn and see everything so that you could jump in at the right moment.
Exactly, because there was so much nuance that went on a photo shoot that you had to learn. At what point do you go into the frame to fix the makeup? You have to look at the photographer, the art director. You have to listen to everybody. There's so much more than just the artistry itself that you have to learn how to do on a set to be able to let it flow and be a creative team. So when I arrived in South Beach, Miami, and by the way, this is the time where like Cindy Crawford had House of Style.
Oh my God.
And it was
the
like
glory days.
The glory days. And like all the RVs would be on the beach, and you have like Naomi Campbell leaping in front of Arthur Elgort taking photos. And I assisted Dick Page, and we worked a lot with Bruce Weber and Dick Page. We did Versace campaigns, and I was one of like 5 assistants, and I was just happy to be there because I got to be like, wow, look at this. I'm with the top tier of people, and I'm just so happy to be able to learn from the master. And Dick Page was amazing because he was always so light-handed with his makeup, which was what I loved to do. I was known as the natural look alternative makeup artist, and that's what he did. And he was kind, and he taught me so much, and easygoing. And when chaos was around on photo shoots, he taught me how to just shrug it off and let it go and be cool about it. And it was an amazing opportunity.
Oh my God. It sounds like I wish that time was still now.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a lot of fun.
How did you then decide, okay, it's time for me to no longer work with him and branch out on your own?
Well, I would always pay attention to the people around me, and a lot of makeup artists, stylists, and models were saying, okay, Miami's seasonal, and so during off season, you have to go pick a place and work there. So it was either Milan, Japan, New York. So the first year I went to Milan, and I lived in a model residence with a bunch of people and scrapped it away in Milan and got tear sheets because that's where you can get magazines. And because I was planning to always go to New York, but it's like I didn't want to go to New York unless I had a full portfolio filled.
And how many pages would that be? What was your goal?
At the time, it was more about the quality and less the quantity. I wanted to have at least 10 to 15 shots, but it had to be magazines. You know, in LA, I started, it was just because I was such a lowly assistant. It was just pictures that I would do, after work with the photographer.
Yeah.
Then by the time I got to Miami, I had ad jobs, right? And then a few editorials. And then Milan was all about editorials.
Right.
So now when I got back, I did 1 season more in Miami, and now I'm ready to go to New York. That's when it happened. That was in 1996.
Oh my God. Okay. So you moved here in 96. I moved in 99. What was your first step when you arrived?
First step was getting an agent, which I did, and I signed with an agency. And then I remember doing a shoot with Arthur Elgort. He was doing portraits of these 2 twins. There were these beautiful Indian twins that I happened to be friends with. So it wasn't a job. It was more of like a little side project. So I went in and did their makeup, and he was so kind, and he said to me, do all the jobs. Take all the jobs when you get here because this is more experience. It's a new place. New York is a different beast. You will get to know people that way. And he was right. And I started taking, all the jobs that a lot of other people wouldn't do, like, one-off catalogs and this and that. But that grew. And then all of a sudden I started doing magazines, and then the teams liked me because you find your tribe, right? So it was like, I found the team at Cosmo. I found the team at InStyle. I found the team at Mademoiselle. It's how I met Stacey London from What Not to Wear.
Oh my gosh.
We were working together in fashion before that show ever came up. So it was just kind of like, and here I go.
Wow.
And it was great.
And so when did you decide, okay, I need to now start my own business? And what was the inspiration behind that? Obviously, I'm sure you were working with products that you hated and thought you could do better, right?
Exactly. And any makeup artist from back in those times will tell you that we custom blended everything. We would mix this with that. And so it was really what not to wear that changed the trajectory for me. So being hired as always the light-handed makeup artist, the makeup artist that did more of the no makeup look. Reality TV came along, and Stacey had been hired for What Not to Wear, and they were looking for a makeup artist, and so they tapped me, and I started doing this show, which I had no idea was going to be an American sensation and go on for a decade.
Yes.
And so being on that show, I was able to take my artistry of that natural look alternative and teach everyday women across the country how to do that because they weren't getting access. Now, this almost, for a brief moment, ruined my fashion career because I already was kind of like the OG influencer. I was being interviewed in all the magazines for spring trends, summer trends, runway to real way. I was doing morning shows, being tapped by different cosmetic companies to talk about their trends. And so everybody said, oh, what are you doing reality TV for?
Right. They thought it was dirty.
They thought it was dirty and cheesy and you're going to ruin your career. And I said, no, this is an opportunity for me to speak the way that I grew up, being that insecure little girl, learning that beauty was a way to empower myself, how I can teach everyone. So on What Not to Wear, I realized that these women had no idea on what products to buy. Mm-hmm. And here I was even custom blending products on What Not to Wear. And I'm like, this is crazy. There needs to be a brand that's simple, easy, streamlined, foolproof, basic makeup 101.
Yeah.
That's what they need. And that's what started me looking into how do I create a brand for everybody.
How long did you look into it before you were like, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger?
Well, the first thing I did was I knew exactly what I wanted to create, something that was easy and light, and I knew formulas that worked, and I did a licensing deal with Sally Hansen, the nail company.
Oh, my God.
And Sally Hansen had only done nails, but they wanted to do a line of natural makeup, and they tapped me, so it was called Sally Hansen Natural Beauty Inspired by Carmindy. Talk about the longest name in the world.
Hard to go viral with that long name.
Really hard. And we were in drugstores nationwide and in Canada, and it did really well. Bought me a house. I was very happy about it. And it was for me because I never went to college and I had just been a makeup artist. This taught me, I looked at it as my version of college. Mm-hmm. It taught me about how to make and manufacture products. It taught me that side of the business.
Yep.
So I looked at it like an amazing learning experience. So when that deal ended about the same time What Not to Wear was coming to a close.
Okay.
Now we've got the internet. Now we've got YouTube. All of a sudden, I'm not being tapped to be a spokesperson for products anymore. They're going to influencers. I had to pivot. And so I was in fear. I didn't understand it yet. And so I dove headfirst into a really bad decision of doing Carmindy & Co. with a bunch of men that were ex-execs from Estee Lauder and Coty that I thought, oh, they know so much more than I do. And it was a disaster.
This was an actual product line.
It was a product line, Carmindy & Co. And they didn't listen to me. They didn't listen to my direction when it came to branding, none of it. And it wound up failing so badly that it left me in a lot of debt and in a lot of pain. And I had lost it all. Yeah, lost it all. It was bad news.
How did you recover from something like that and say, okay, I'm going to go back again? Like, what made you feel like you could bounce back from that? That
took a lot of meditation, soul searching, and changing my entire life. I realized I was in a toxic relationship I had to get out of romantically. I had to get rid of everything that I once thought about the industry and myself, thinking I didn't have a voice, thinking I didn't know what I was doing, that they knew better. Not being afraid anymore to speak my mind. And that helped by leaving the romantic relationship mm-hmm. and starting fresh. Thank God I reached out to friends and family that allowed me to move into one of their apartments for a little bit to get my feet on the ground. And then I got my own apartment. I met an amazing business partner, John DiNapoli, who's my business partner to this day, who I love. He believed in the brand and the vision of it. And we took our time and we started slowly and we we really just told the truth of what I wanted to do for these women. And the whole reason that the 5-minute face was the beginning and the core and the heartbeat of Carmindy Beauty and what it meant. And then we grew it from there. So it took a long time and it was slow and steady.
Yeah.
But a lot of meditation and a lot of changing my entire life to do it.
Yep. I find that the moments that I didn't listen to my gut and I believed people that knew better were some of the biggest mistakes career-wise I ever made. And it takes a long time to come back from that.
It does.
And I can't blame the people that told me wrong because I was saying yes too, right?
Of course. You're
listening.
an equal participant in all of it.
Yeah.
And that's the lessons you learn. You don't go back and say, oh, wow, this happened to me. No, you take that as, okay, this is some of your biggest skills now moving forward.
Yeah.
And how can you pay that forward?
Exactly. So I love that you said 5-minute face because today my Explore page is filled with like 40-minute face. And the amount of overwhelm, right, when it comes to doing makeup or, you know what I mean, is like, it's nuts what women are doing to themselves and how much time terrifying. It takes. And like, how do these people have all this time? And like, so how did you sort of perfect that? And tell me some of the lessons you've learned along the way and how you've had to pivot even now with what's happening.
Yes. It's very easy. One of the things that I think is true what you're saying is that all these multi-steps is overwhelming. It's causing extreme anxiety in all women, no matter what age.
Yep.
And it's unnecessary. So when I created the 5-minute face, I was working on what not to wear and all these, because on models, of course, you can throw mud on them and they're going to look beautiful, right? But it's like these women really just wanted to look polished and put together, but they had no idea what to do. And they didn't have a lot of time. They were busy moms. They were full-time, employees. They were, truck drivers. They, were going through divorces. They were some of them were going and surviving breast cancer and going through treatments. They didn't have time for a multi-step routine. So when I was writing my first book, The 5-Minute Face, I was researching and reading all of these scientific case studies. And one of the scientific case studies was mind-blowing and the reason behind the 5-minute face. And they found that when they looked through beauty standards over the decades, over the centuries, from all walks of life, going back to caveman days, beauty standards and traditions changed constantly, right? But one thing remained consistent. A person is at their most beautiful when, number one, they're either fertile or in love. So if you're older and you're not fertile anymore, but being in love gives you the same thing. So 5 magical things happen when you're in love. Number one, your skin glows because you're radiating that energy. You're feeling, oh my God. That's why when you see a friend who's in a new romance, you're like, you look amazing. What's going on? That is an energy that's being given off.
Yep.
So I created a universal highlighter because highlight is light. Light is energy. You put that on your skin, it bounces light off the face. So you're not contouring. You're not changing who you are.
Yep.
No matter if you're 18 or 80, you're glowing. Then the second thing that happens is your eyes capture attention because you're trying to flirt, right? Or get somebody to notice you. So that's just a little eyeliner and mascara for flirty lashes.
Yep.
Your cheeks flush on a cellular level because you're blushing, because you're in love.
Right.
It's actually scientific. And then your lips get engorged with blood because you want to make out.
Interesting.
5 things. 5 easy products. I made them universal. I started putting these on women of all ages on the show, and it worked. They all looked glowing,
on
beautiful,
the show with
and
Stacey.
natural.
What not to wear. Okay.
So that's what I was like, okay, we need to create a product line, and this is the centerpiece. Because some people don't wear foundation, some people just wear tinted moisturizer, but this is the color, the 5 easy pieces that will go on everyone to enhance their natural beauty, never change who they are.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a fan of contouring and shape shifting and all the things that we've seen on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. That is what's anxiety causing.
Yep.
So that was what we started doing with the 5-minute face and Carmindy Beauty. It's all about streamline, easy, natural, and it works. It's magic.
That's nice to hear because I wonder all those girls that shapeshift when the guy wakes up next to them the next morning, is he like, oh, who's that? That's not who I anticipated seeing this morning.
Exactly. And the thing is, listen, I remember back when I first started playing with makeup, when I was that insecure little teenager, and I would coat my face with like the heaviest of makeup. And I remember it was an older professional makeup artist, a guy who said, you're beautiful without all that on your face.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to love yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's what I find when, yes, it's entertaining when you see these girls doing all of these layers, right? It's entertaining to watch. And the end result is very theatrical, very cool. Yes, as a kid, it's fun to play like that. But in real life, if you were to go out right now into New York City and gather 200 women off the streets and bring them into a room, how many of them look like that?
Right.
None. Maybe a tiny little handful.
Yeah.
But yet they're the ones that all the beauty industries are kind of focusing on. What about everybody else?
Right.
What about the people that just want to look good, easy, and it's also affordable? I wanted to make sure that these products were accessible to everyone. The most expensive thing I have is $16.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really affordable.
It's super affordable. Because here's the other thing. When was the last time you bought a mascara or a lipstick or an eyeshadow and put it back in the box it came in? Right after using it?
Why would I put it back in the box?
That's right. Where does that box go?
In the trash?
That's right. So you're paying for that box. So when you're going to these high-end
I see what you're saying.
stores and you're paying all this money for a mascara or a blush or a lip gloss, you're paying for the box, you're paying for the component that it comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I streamlined the components. I got rid of the boxes so you can afford the best quality product, and it's easy. I'm trying to make it easy for everybody because I've been in the industry my whole life and I see the BS that goes on around it.
So let's talk about the industry, because before we started recording, we were talking about how deeply, as a voyeur, right, hard it looks. I have several friends in this industry, and every time I'm like, Rebecca Minkoff Beauty, nope, can't do it. So why is it? Like, why do you think, obviously, oversaturation?
Yes.
But how do you even, knowing that, stand out and set yourself apart?
Well, for me, it's because I'm an expert. So I always look at it this way. If you broke your leg, would you go to the doctor that has 1 million Instagram followers to fix it, or the doctor that's done 1 million surgeries, right? So I have always been a big fan of buying skincare that is made by professional dermatologists, buying hair care from hairstylists, people that really know the industry. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a brand now. I mean, your brand, the minute you go on TikTok, your brand, you think your brand, right?
Right.
And so I think that people are looking for the new, but there's not a lot of brand loyalty in these quick one-offs. I think it's a money grab.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, this is splashy. This is cool. It popped off on TikTok or it's viral for a moment. But where is the longevity in that? And I think that there's a short attention span, but I wanted to create a brand that was here to stay. It is a harder play because I'm focusing mainly on millennials and Gen Xers, women who know and trust me, grew up watching me. And of course, it's beautiful for younger girls as well, but they're kind of into that entertainment. So I think a lot of these investors are investing in these one-off, exciting little things without thinking long-term.
Right.
And I think that's what's frustrating and hard about the business because it is oversaturated.
Right. And I think, again, we spoke about this prior, but people are targeting Gen Alpha in a scary way. My daughter somehow knows about a 9-step routine when I don't let her on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're just beginning to hear conversations about older women and beauty for older women and menopausal skin, perimenopausal skin, right?
Yes. Huge.
And how that changes. So I'd love for you to speak on your thoughts on the disgusting targeting of Gen Alpha, but then also like, what is the opportunity for talking to women? I'm 43.
Yes.
And then you're
53. Mm-hmm.
So like, how do you see people who should shift in that direction?
Yeah, it's a great topic. So the whole focus right now on Gen Alpha is so disturbing to me because it is low-hanging fruit. These are the girls that you're starting off creating. And this is why we always say society makes us, feel insecure about ourselves, or society does this. Well, we are society. It is up to us to make a change, right? So anybody who is participating in fueling and feeding the insecurity of young girls, starting as early as 9 and 10 years old, by focusing on beauty products for Gen Alpha, I think is a dirty business. And I think it's wrong because at 9 and 10, you should not be concerned with 9 steps. You should be concerned about going out, having fun, playing, experiencing the world, learning, all the things that don't have to do with focusing within. That's going to come in due time, right? Because it happens to everyone. Junior high, high school, we're all going to get insecure and be like, I have fat thighs and oh, I hate my face. And that's hopefully going to just last for a short amount of time until you realize to love yourself truly and completely as you are unique. So starting that early, I think, is wrong. And I hope that it's something that is going to pass. I really do, because I don't think it's right whatsoever. It's going to just stem in more and more insecurity.
And I feel like hormone disruptors and all the chemicals and stuff that are going into these young bodies must be awful.
Yeah. And also your skin is not even fully developed yet. If you think about it, the human brain as a young person doesn't fully develop till you're 25.
Right.
Your skin and your face changes. When I was a 9-year-old kid, I did not look the way that I did now, right? It's like acne, chubby face, this, that. Your face is shifting, your skin's shifting. You can actually mess up the microbiome of your own skin by messing with it at such a young age. And a lot of these products that these girls are trying to, buy, it has nothing to do with them. I heard a young girl trying to get retinol the other day. Now that is what's for somebody who's older. Right. Now you're right. There's finally a conversation around menopause. I'm full blown. I guess I'm out of menopause now because the hot flashes are gone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But perimenopause is a huge thing in menopause. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to buy your skincare from a peri or menopause skincare company. It means you just have to understand the ingredients that go into skincare now. Number one of the biggest things is start using retinols, right? So products that have retinols, making sure that I love dermaplaning on your face because it gets rid of peach fuzz and skin cells. I think the overfilling of the face is wrong. I think that, listen, everybody's got their jam. Do what you want to make you happy, but
no, but these women are beginning to look like weird blow-up dolls,
and starting in the age of 20,
and
their faces aren't fully developed yet, and that stuff's not. It doesn't go away. So there's things that I'm pro. Like I started doing Botox in my 30s. I love a Fraxel laser because I get hyperpigmentation, and then diligent skincare and sunscreen. But right now I think when it comes to makeup, I always created makeup products. And product developed them backwards. And what I mean by that is a lot of companies out there who are product developing will slap it on an 18-year-old, photograph it, sell it to you. I would create products. I would get a friend who's in their 60s and 70s, use the product on them, knowing if it worked on them, then of course it's going to work on somebody who's 25 or 15. So I always did my product developing backwards. That's why, like, for instance, I have tube technology mascara. I created it because my mom had hooded eyelids and mascara was smudging and she hated waterproof. So now I've got all ages wearing that mascara because it's easy and it makes sense. When it came time to creating, my Lit From Within Daily Skin Prep, which is a primer, hydrator, illuminator, it's because I knew that it was going to make somebody in their 70s skin look like they just had a facial. So of course, somebody who's 30 is going to look amazing with it. So it's a thought process when you develop product as well.
Would you say that you feel now as the makeup artist and founder, business owner, that it was hard to learn the business side, or you feel like you're in the saddle now and you...
It took a long time because I used the excuse of I'm the creative because we're fearful and it's overwhelming. And so I was doing licensing deals because it's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm the creative. But when I realized is that no, I'm doing every step of the way from product development to writing the brand story to doing my own social media to making the connections and really understanding the business. And if you break it off into little chunks, it's much easier. If you look at it as a whole, it's so overwhelming. Your head spins and you're like, no, I can't do this. So I've learned over time that if you take it little by little and you make sure that you learn from your mistakes and you ask a lot of questions. I have so many questions in meetings that I take all the time from people that are not even in my industry just to learn about how they got there. That's the best. That's a great thing about your podcast. This is so great. Learn from stories. Learning from stories, it becomes less scary. And it's amazing to me that our generation, well, I'm a generation older than you, but that we still don't have a full voice. We're still afraid to say things and ask things and shine as bright because, I'm sorry, but, women-owned businesses still only get 2 or 3% of investment. It's still happening. We still have a long way to go.
Oh, we have a real long way to go.
Yeah, it's kind of bananas. And there's like a lot of old way of thinking, like, oh, it's got to be done this way when it comes time to growing a brand. No, it doesn't.
Right.
Let's change it. Let's do it our way.
Yeah. You seem like you've always embraced innovation and change.
Yes.
Do you think that that's just within you, or you saw, okay, I'm going to take the risk with the reality show, or I'm going to take the risk with getting rid of packaging, making it affordable? Like, how have you sort of approached taking risks?
Well, listen, I think I'm a risk taker anyway, to know at 15 that I was going to do some crazy job that nobody's ever heard of. So I think that part is thrilling. It's also anxiety causing. You live in like this perpetual state of kind of anxiety, but I'm like, I'm going to call it energy. So
let's change the name.
Let's just change the name,
right?
And like, okay, it's like untapped energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that when you move forward in the business side of it, and you have to pivot and you have to embrace change, change is inevitable.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to change and go to the next chapter, you are doing yourself a huge disfavor. So every time something doesn't work, figure out what did or how you can make it better and move forward. And believe me, I have gotten kicked in the face time and time and time again, but you can't hold on to that.
Yeah.
What did you learn? How did I participate? How can I make it better? Next step. Just keep moving forward as long as you love doing it.
Right.
If you hate it and you're miserable, get out and find what you love doing, because then when you are kicked in the face, you're like, shake it off and you keep going. I love what I do. I know in every cell of my being that my job on this planet is to make women feel empowered and good about themselves, period.
Yeah.
It's not about the money. It's about, I want them to understand that they're beautiful exactly where they are right now today.
Yeah.
And they don't need 15 products to look good. A few products just to brighten them up, make them feel their very best is all they need. And it's a harder hill to climb, because I'm not tapping into insecurities, which all these other companies are.
Right. Right. That's a really good point that I didn't think about. Like, all the things that are wrong with you, this can cover it up and fix it. And you're like, you're already beautiful. Let's just bring it out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's harder to convince people. And I've been doing it for years and I'll never stop. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
So if it takes me a hell of a lot longer, then so be it, because that's always been my mission.
So what does the future look like for you?
Well, really exciting. So I'm about ready to start doing TikTok shops. I'm jumping in. That's kind of where it's all happening right now. So I'm starting in September, going to do TikTok shops. I am launching foundations and concealers on Amazon coming really soon.
Wow.
A bunch of new bundles coming up.
I hope they work in like this part.
Yes, because they're very sheer. They're stick concealers, but they're not opaque and they're not heavy.
Thank you.
So they're very, very sheer.
Thank you.
Yeah, and everything I do is like made to look like a watercolor. So the Lit from Within Daily Skin Prep, you can mix with foundation to create your own tinted moisturizer.
I love that. It's going back to your mom.
It's going back to my mom.
I love that.
Exactly. Because there's beauty in everything. And that's what's great about watercolor. It's that natural sheerness that I love.
Yep. Okay, so that comes soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the two questions I ask all my guests, which I don't know if you've heard or not, but what would we be surprised to know about you, and a piece of advice you either learned the hard way or someone gave to you that you want to pass on?
Okay, so people would be really surprised to know that I love fishing like a dude. I literally go on fishing boats and catch fish and hold up the fish, and I do it by myself sometimes, or I go with guy friends, because I used to have 3 girlfriends that used to go fishing with me.
What kind of fish?
I love going for grouper, snapper, Spanish mackerel, fluke,
Are
sea
you
bass.
strapped into the seats and
not the long like trolling like marlins, but no, I love reef fishing, and it's so funny because I hear women all the time that are on dating apps like, if I see another guy holding up a fish, I'm like, I think it's kind of cool. Because my father taught me fishing growing up, and for me, it's very meditative.
Yeah.
And yeah, so a lot of people look at me and they're like, never would we think that I would go out.
I did not suspect that. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you eat the fish too?
Of course.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's like hunting and then eat the fish. But I don't hunt. I just fish. So, yeah. So that's something a lot of people don't know about me.
Oh my God. I love it.
So funny.
I'll share with you some people might know this, but hands down, the amount of times people come up to me and they go, "Are you Stacey London?"
Are you kidding?
All the time.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm always like, "No, but I know her." And they're like, "You are her." I'm like, "No, I'm not."
That is so funny.
Yeah,
if you had the gray streak, then
if I did, right? Maybe for Halloween, that's who I'll be.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's great. You know that they're rebooting.
I know.
Did you see that?
I saw, but I felt like I saw the preview a long time ago, and then I was like, "When is it coming out?"
No. So what they did, I love them. They're still 2 of my dearest friends to this day. So what they did is they they actually went around the country and they would do these kind of stage shows, and it was almost like a test run. So that's probably the preview that you saw was for that.
Because it was them running into each other on the street. And then I was like, where's the TV show?
Yeah, so they started just by doing city to city stage shows. And then now on Amazon Prime, they've got,
oh my God.
By the way, the name, oh my God, Wear Whatever the F You Want is genius, because they had to pivot.
Yeah.
And they understand, because they came together and realized we learned from our past experiences, and we learned that there are no rules, and we've changed with the times, and it's okay to be different and change. And so now they're embracing that, which I'm really excited to watch.
Oh my gosh.
She's so fun.
Are you going to make a guest, a Cammy?
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
Stacey. I want to see Carmindy.
Yeah.
Okay. Great piece of advice. Either you want to pass on or someone gave to you that you want to relay.
I think the best piece of advice was, it was definitely something I learned in a deep meditation class that I had with a facilitator that was doing it, which was everything that happens to you that blocks you is divine intervention. Because I would be brokenhearted over either a relationship that didn't work out or a business opportunity that didn't work out, and then something better always comes along. So it's always not it's not against you, it's for you, and it's divine intervention. Those are the two things that I always remember when things go sideways.
It's funny you say that, because last night I was having a conversation with a friend at dinner, and she's like, do you believe fate, or is it sliding doors? And I was like, I don't like the idea of someone deciding everything for me, but there are definitely things that have blocked, right? That fell out of my control.
That's right.
That were, thank God, like my ex calling me out to LA, but then I didn't end up with him. I ended up with my husband.
Wonderful, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
it's true. So it's like if you just wait around long enough, you do see them. And I always believe that the more quiet you get, that's why I love doing meditation. I like to do breathwork meditation because it like gets me out of my own head. The more quiet you get, the more the answers come, the louder your intuition is. Yeah. But you can't do it when you're running around crazed. When you're running around crazed and trying to solve problems, especially when it comes to business, you don't hear those subtle, intuitive things. You have to get quiet.
And we've sort of stopped that with having our phones. Like when it is quiet, we're looking at our phones.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's funny, last night, I was on TikTok scrolling, and some woman came on. She goes, "Are you not sleeping right now scrolling on TikTok?" And I immediately shut the phone down and went, "Oh, how did she know?" And it freaked me out. But I'm
the algorithm knew.
Okay. So I'm like, that's right. Put the phone on a charger away from the bed.
Yeah.
You got to keep reminding yourself. Be quiet.
It's hard. It's hard. So where can everyone find you, buy Carmindy beauty products, all the places?
Yeah, so right now I'm available on Amazon. Okay. And so there's bundles. The 5-Minute Face is a bundle. There's new bundles coming up. If you do see individual products, they're sold in packs of 2 because of the price, because we're so inexpensive, which is great. We're cost conscious. If you want to buy them individually, then you can go to scentbeauty.com. We're also on TikTok Shops. And I will be going on live tons starting in September.
Oh my God, that's going to be transformative.
Well, it's just fun. It's going to be your own personal little, makeover with Carmindy. So
I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
And then on Instagram, I'm Carmindy Beauty, and on TikTok, I'm a Carmindy_beauty.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. This has been great.
So good. I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to today's episode. I also want to ask you to rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts. I know it's a pain in the butt, but it actually helps with search and algorithms. So if you love this podcast, it is an easy way to get it more visible and out there. I also want you to follow me on Instagram at Rebecca Minkoff, at RM Superwomen, and be sure to check out my book, Fearless, The New Rules for Unlocking Creativity, Courage, and Success. Thank you again, and you will hear from me next week.